Hi, it's Brad from Lone Mountain Audio here to talk about ATC Consumer. And here I'm going to try to run through the consumer range to give you guys a feel for what's going on with that. So with ATC Consumer, we start with the SCM7. That's a 5-inch two-way at $16.49 a pair. What makes that speaker so cool and different is that it's a really super high quality driver. I don't think there's a 5-inch built anywhere that has this kind of quality in a woofer itself. You should see the way this thing is made. The driver is huge, even though it's 5-inch in diameter. It's almost as deep as that. It handles huge amounts of power and can actually go quite low. You'd be surprised when you hear it. It goes very deep. And then it has an ATC custom built tweeter as well. So this is an all in-house handmade driver set built in England called the SCM7 for $16.49 a pair. It's really cool for like a bedroom system or for a smaller system or on your desk. If you want really high quality music anywhere where you don't have a lot of space, SCM7 is perfect. We make some electronics that are ideal to make with it, but any kind of small little receiver will drive them fine. They sound really good soft, they sound good loud, they sound good in between. So the 7 is a really good place to start with ATC. The next model up in the line is called the SCM11, and that model expands the sort of the bandwidth, goes lower, has more bass. That's the one you actually see here on my left, and that speaker has a 6-inch woofer and the same tweeter as the SCM7, but it sounds a lot wider and a lot broader in frequency response. So to you, it's going to sound a lot fuller. It will also play a little bit louder, and it's an ideal speaker for your first ATC. If you want to get a full range speaker and you want something that plays loud on all kinds of music, or you might want to listen to it soft with really high quality, the SCM11 right here is ATC's top selling hi-fi speaker around the world. We sell a lot of 11s to all of our dealers here in the US, but over in England, this is their #1 seller. Next model up from that is called the SCM19. That model uses the first implementation of what we call our SL driver. This is a technology that ATC developed that lowers distortion in the woofer so dramatically that suddenly you can hear details you otherwise were unable to hear. So the SCM19 offers super high resolution. It's really awesome to listen to things on that, classical, anything with a lot of detail, jazz, because you're going to hear details you've never heard before. The SCM19 is ultra clean and really good sounding speaker. It's been the best reviewed speaker we have over here. It's been reviewed by quite a few of the magazines in the US, and it's a speaker that's our favorite to listen to around the office. So the SCM19 is $39.99, so it just hits that 4K a pair mark in a passive form, but is also available in what we call active. Now, this is a good moment to talk a little bit about active. Active has three in a three-way has 3 power amps inside, and two-way it'll have 2 power amps inside. And the idea is that you put a driver right to the you put a driver and an amplifier together, and you have the crossover before all that. In a passive speaker, the crossover is the last thing the amplifier sees. The amplifier is actually driving the crossover, which is in turn hooked up to the drivers. In an active speaker, the crossover is before all the amplifiers, it's before all that. So you don't have any problems with the driver getting hot, changing the values in the passive crossover. You don't have losses of a passive crossover. It's a more efficient way of doing it. And it also is a better way of controlling phase. So the SCM19 is available in an active speaker called the SCM19A. And now when you go to an active, it's in a tower form. We need room to put the amp in the bottom. And that speaker is $9,999. So it adds $4,000 basically for 2 power amps in each speaker. It is an amazing speaker for resolution. It's been very well reviewed by quite a few magazines. I think Absolute Sound did a nice review on it. And on top of that, it'll show you details you did not ever hear before in some of your music. So the goal with the 19 is for the guy that wants smallest footprint, something that sits on the floor, and the highest possible resolution. The 19A is it. The 19 passive would be the second choice for resolution in the ATC line. The other speaker in our line is the SCM40, and this is a tower speaker, but it's the first 3-way. This uses that famous ATC mid-range. ATC developed a mid-range Years ago, this is actually one of ATC's first developments, is a 3-inch mid-range, because the goal of a mid-range is to widely disperse sound so it sounds the same off to the side as it does on the center, and also to lower distortion of the mid-range so you can hear more detail. This is especially important for vocals, guitars, piano, things where there's a lot of information and detail is really important. So the SCM40 passive is $69.99, and that's the speaker I have at my house. That's a really good sounding speaker. Has 3 different drivers: ATC tweeter, ATC mid, and the same type of CLD technology we use in the 11 here, used in the low end of the SCM40. That particular speaker is a sealed low end, so it has a good even roll off all the way down to the bottom. You can also get it in an active form called the SCM40A. That adds some money to it. It's $13,999, so it's 14 grand, so like almost twice the money for 3-way active. But what you're getting for that is a speaker and 6 amplifiers. So you have 3 different amps inside each speaker. So all you need to do is really hook up a preamp to it, hook up a preamp with your turntable and your streamer. You can hook up some DACs with variable output controls straight to the speaker. You have a minimum of stuff hooked up. It's sort of the system of the future where you have an active speaker and just a really good preamp that handles all your signals that you can control down to the speaker. So take a look at the SCM40. That's the top of our, we call the SCM11, 7, 19, and 40, all part of our entry line. This is where ATC begins to deliver really good quality above what you're typically used to. So take a look at these 4 models and the 2 active models as a good place to start with ATC. Thanks for listening.